All right, how many of you already have a busted March Madness bracket? I know a lot of you have no clue I'm talking about because you don't follow sports or college basketball, but it's the time of the year where all of the college basketball teams play each other in the grandest tournament of them all. And so because basically the name of the game is every year everybody thinks that their bracket is going to be perfect and they're going to guess every winner. But how many of you already have a terribly busted bracket? Admit it. Mine is hanging on strong because I picked Kansas and Villanova. So I have 2 of the Final 4 still in my bracket. That's right. But I know a lot of you don't care about basketball or your bracket's already busted. So I just made us a new little March Madness bracket tonight. Y'all ready for a new little March Madness bracket? Okay, so we're going to play a game with March Madness bracket that has nothing to do with basketball. All right, so here's what we're going to do. You are going to decide who advances in each of these face-offs until we get all the way to the final game, and then we will have a winner in this bracket. It is super random, but it's going to be a blast. Here's how we decide who is going to advance. I am going to say each of these, and you're going to cheer if this is the one that you think is better or you want to win, and then you can boo if it's the one you want to lose. And then I'll go to the next one, and we'll see which one has the most cheers and the fewest boos, all right? Here we go. So the first matchup is Cane's and Chick-fil-A. Are you ready? All right, so cheer or boo, who thinks Cane's is better? All right. Now, what about Chick-fil-A? Chick-fil-A won. All right, next round. Kanye. Versus Karen. Kanye advances. Thanks to only this group right here. All right. DC, Batman, my favorite ever, versus Marvel. I tried to rig this by using the lamest Marvel character I could find. Because Marvel is taking over everything. That is, does anybody know who that is? Thor Frog. That's right. There's an actual Marvel character, Thor Frog. So, how many think DC is better? DC Comics. All right, how many think Marvel? All right. I'm not surprised, but I tried my best with Thor Frog to rig it. Okay, last one. Last one. Chris Rock versus Will Smith, obviously. All right, how many for Chris Rock? How many for Will Smith? I don't know. That was kind of hard. Grayson, what do you think? Who won that? Will Smith or Chris Rock? Chris Rock. Okay, Chris Rock. Okay, so I don't have slides for the next playoff rounds. We're going to go Chick-fil-A or Kanye. I think this is going to be easy. Chick-fil-A, which one's better? Chick-fil-A or Chick-fil-A? Kanye. That's right. That's right. One Christian album. Psh, come on. All right. Marvel versus Chris Rock. This is the weirdest bracket ever. Okay. Who thinks Marvel is better on this side? What about Chris Rock? Nice try, Dakota. Nice try, Dakota. All right, so it's Marvel. So, here we go. The grand finale for the champion. It's either Chick-fil-A or Marvel that you like better. Ready? Here we go. How many think Chick-fil-A is better? This could be close. All right, how many think Marvel is better? Marvel wins. Marvel wins. All right. Shh. So that random bracket has a little bit of a tie to our lesson. So let me try to get us going here with our lesson tonight. So each of us clearly have preferences as we went through this game. And our preferences often align with what makes us happy or what we think is better for us. And so as we choose the things that we choose throughout our life, most of the times the motivation is seeking after what makes my life better. And so when you're thinking about, man, I want to ask this person out, or man, maybe I need to break off this relationship, it's usually because you're thinking, what is better for me? If you want to hang out with your friends, it's because you feel like it's going to make life better. You want to get a job because you could get some money and that's going to make your life better. Maybe you're thinking about trying out for or even quitting a sport because you think it's going to make your life better if you do that. And that's a great question, by the way. Does it make life better or worse? But since you and I only have one life, it makes sense that we want to get the most out of it. And so we're usually going to decide, what is it that makes life better for me? For many of us, I think we wonder about church and faith in general, and we start asking that same question. Is this actually even better for me? Is it going to make things better or worse in my life if I actually follow through with this faith, or if I keep going to church? So I'll share a quick story. I'll show you a picture that goes with it. This is me in 8th grade with my youth group, and I was, there's me on the far left in the Planet Hollywood shirt, just rocking it. This was like a sunrise breakfast event, so we all look rough. This is like right after we woke up. When I went to church, y'all, when I was your age, I'll just tell you this. I really loved people. Like, I think what a lot of you love about church, and I think what a lot of you are here hoping for in church, is to have good friendships with people. And you realize that, man, my life would be better if I had some good people in my life. Some of you are already realizing how much better your life is because of the leader that's continuing to pour into you each week and see you each week and check on you and ask about you and maybe even text you to see how things are going in your life. Like, you're starting to realize that that is making your life better. The thing that I doubted, I'll just be real with you guys. The thing that I doubted was I didn't really know if I was down with all the rules of church. You see, I grew up in a church that was pretty conservative, and so my upbringing was, when you go to church, like, you can have a ton of fun with your friends, and this is like good and everything, but once you sit down in the seat, it's time for you to kind of hear the rules, is what it felt like to me at this age. And so I would go to church, and I really enjoyed a lot of the youth group stuff. I liked the trips and the adventures and the people, but I just didn't really know if religion with all these rules was going to make my life more fun and enjoyable. So I kind of struggled a little bit when I went to church, because when it was time to sit and study the Bible or do something like this, I just feel like I was always waiting for the next thing that I had to do or obey to be good. And that was just hard for me, because I'll just tell you this. If you don't know me very well, then you're getting ready to know me a little better. I don't do super great with rules. I just never was the kid that was like the best rule follower. I'm the one that my mom got all the things in my folder about talking too much or not listening to the teacher. So I always felt like in church, you know, I was the kid that got spanked a lot. I don't know, parents probably don't do that as much in church today. How embarrassing would that be if right now one of you is misbehaving and your mom came, got you, walked you out, and spanked you back here? That is literally what happened to me every Sunday of my life until 4th grade. Pretty old, like too old to being spanked in church, honestly. But those were the questions I was asking. How can a religion with so many rules make my life more fun or enjoyable? Maybe you can relate with that. Another question is, does faith in God really make your life better? Really? That's the question here. And that's what this whole series, Prism, has been about. Like, is Jesus going to make your life any better? Because we've been talking about the fact that you could look at life one way, you could look at Jesus one way, but when you shine a light or you kind of twist just a little bit and you try to see Jesus in a different light or from a different angle, you learn something new about Jesus. And so we're hoping every week that we're able to show you something new about Jesus that is going to help you realize, wow, he is actually going to make my life better. That's what we want you to see in Jesus every week through this series, that when we take this closer look at who he really is, we can see the things that we've never seen before and even start to see things about ourselves. In fact, one of the reasons Jesus came to earth was to give us a better picture and a better angle of what God is like. Because Jesus is God's son, and Jesus was with God in the beginning, and he came from God when he came to earth. And so Jesus, while he was here, was trying to help you know what God is like because he knew what his Father was like. And so he would use these illustrations in his teachings often that would help people know better what God was like. And one of the illustrations that he used is in John chapter 10. I want you to open your Bibles if you have them. If you don't have one, you can raise your hand and some leaders could run one down to you, or feel free to go grab yours on the cart if you forgot to grab it on the way in. But we're going to look at John chapter 10 and see one of these images that Jesus used to show us a little bit better what God was like and what he was like as God's son. So he used an image that was very familiar to people in that time that maybe isn't super familiar to you tonight, but hopefully John is going to help you connect with this image a little better in his gospel. The image that Jesus chose to use was a shepherd and his sheep. I don't know how many of you have spent much time shepherding or working with sheep. I have spent little to none, but as I've studied this passage and taught from it a few different times, it's really been interesting to see the relationship that forms. Listen to me as you turn to this. It's really beautiful to see the relationship that forms between a shepherd and his sheep, especially when the shepherd is a good shepherd, and the way that sheep start to trust and build confidence in their shepherd. So listen to what Jesus says about this. It's this concept back then that everybody would get. I know maybe for you it's like, I don't know, the sheep and shepherd thing, but hang with me just for a second because Jesus is going to show us how he is, in fact, our good shepherd. Did you hear that? Jesus is about to affirm to you tonight through his words that he is your good shepherd. So listen, look at this. John chapter 10, look in verse 10. It says, the thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. Let's just stop there. So here we're talking about a shepherd, but Jesus is talking about a thief here. What are we doing here? So if you didn't know this, this is not the first society that's had a bunch of thieves running around looting and stealing. This is something that the ancients were very well aware of because they did not have the same locks and security measures we have today. And so it was very often that someone would have large flocks, and when they were out trying to graze or take their flocks out into the wilderness, they would easily be able to lose track of one of these animals. And so it would be, do I go find it, or has this animal been stolen? And they knew the head count every single day. And if one was missing, they would have to figure out what happened. And so one of the ways that they kept from losing or not knowing what happened to these animals was they would take them to these little rock pins. They were usually made of stones, and it would be kind of a circular thing at night where they could protect them easier by putting them in a circular pin. I should have got a picture for you. But the beautiful thing was a shepherd, once it had them in this pin, it could stay up and watch throughout the night and make sure no thieves came and stole any sheep. And the Bible even talks at the beginning of this chapter about how like a thief would come over the wall. Like a thief would just jump over the wall, try to grab one and take it. And so a shepherd would constantly, if they were a good shepherd, they would constantly be watching and protecting their sheep from these thieves. And so Jesus starts to right away give us this image like he's the real thing. Like he's a shepherd that wants to protect you. Jesus is the one that's not watching over you because he's watching to see if you follow every rule. Jesus is a good shepherd that's watching over you because he wants to take care of you. So he continues. This gets even more interesting. The second part of this verse, he says, the thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. Underline that. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. Read on in verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for the sheep. A hired hand will run when he sees a wolf coming. He will abandon the sheep because they don't belong to him, and he isn't their shepherd. And so the wolf attacks them and scatters the flock. Woo, Satan's been doing some of that in this place. Satan has attacked some of you. Satan has attacked some of your friend groups. And some of you know what that's like when something comes in to that circle and everyone scatters. He says the hired hand runs away because he's only working for the money and doesn't really care about the sheep. But here's Jesus, verse 14. I am the good shepherd. I know my own sheep. Did you know that Jesus knows you? And they know me, just as my Father knows me, and I know the Father, so I sacrifice my life for the sheep. Jesus is making a point here. Did you catch what he said about life in verse 10? That his purpose was to give you life. And not just give you life, to give you a rich and satisfying life. When I was growing up, my Bible that I always read from was the NIV translation, and it said, my purpose is, let's look at this, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I always thought of that Jesus gave us not a partial life. He gave us a full life. He showed us what life should be like to the full. And so he's showing this difference between him and a thief. This is why the thief shows up in your life, to steal, to kill, and destroy. That's what Satan, that's what the enemy, that's what the evil in this world is known for. Coming into your life and stealing what God intended for good. Killing the things that God has wanted to bring to life in you, and destroying the things that God's been building up in you. And Jesus says, this is why I show up, to offer a satisfying, full life. In other words, you know what a thief is like, but that's not me. And honestly, it makes sense why Jesus would say that, because the truth is oftentimes we don't see Jesus as the good shepherd. Some of you here have yet to see Jesus as a good shepherd in your life. And instead, we're tempted to see him more as a thief. That's a strong statement, so let me unpack that just a second. What I mean by that, of some of us being tempted to see Jesus as a thief, is that we think that he is going to steal all of our fun. We think that if Jesus is going to be our shepherd, he's actually going to kill our relationships. He's going to destroy our personality and turn us into these religious robots. We think that if we follow Jesus, our future is going to be stolen, killed, and destroyed, and we're going to have to give up on our dreams, give away everything we really want, and live a boring life. The point's this: when it comes to Jesus, we're all tempted to think that he wants to take something away from us if we follow him. Do you think that right now? Just stop for a second. Are some of you believing a lie that if you follow Jesus, all he's going to do is take things away from you and the things that you really want? Jesus is saying, I didn't show up to take away your life. That's what a thief does. And I'm no thief. I've shown up to make sure you have life. The real life, the full life. Because somewhere along the way, maybe in church or maybe on social media, some of you got the idea that God wants to take away anything we want and anything that's going to make our lives good. And that's just not true. But what does it mean that we can trust that by following Jesus, he's going to lead us toward more of what we really want in life? If that's the promise and we're saying, okay, well, if I follow Jesus, he's going to give me what I really want, what are we talking about there? I'm thinking things like this. I think following Jesus is actually more fun. And I'm somebody who really loves to have fun. And there were times that I had to ask this question, like, man, is being a disciple of Jesus going to mean I can't have as much fun as I want to have? And maybe you've never thought about it, but God actually invented fun. So that's why he made following Jesus something that brings you even more fun. He created the part of your brain that lights up when you're having a great time with your friends. Your happiness and enjoyment, those were God's ideas, not yours. So Jesus didn't come to take away the opportunities to have a good time. His goal was never for you to have less fun. It was for you to actually have more fun. You actually saw my little 8th grade face and how much fun I had following Jesus with all of my friends. This is another one that I think what we really want, Jesus wants that for us too, things like great relationships. That following Jesus doesn't mean we have to give up relationships in our life that we are really hoping for, these solid, real friendships. Following Jesus can make you better at finding those kinds of friends and being that kind of friend yourself. God invented friendship and community, and Jesus wants you to find more of that community that's good for you. Personality. Maybe some of you think if you follow Jesus, you're going to have to give up your personality. This is a big one. Somewhere we got the idea that Jesus wants to take away our personality, make us less interesting, and the opposite's true. Jesus wants to use the ways that you're interesting. Use the ways that you're unique, you're gifted uniquely, and he wants to do something with that to actually add to your personality in a way that you couldn't add to yourself because he gave you those unique gifts and talents. And the goal is not to be like anyone else. It's to be more of who he created you to be. And then lastly, a fourth thing that I thought of was your hopes and dreams, that some of you think if I follow Jesus, I got to give up. He's going to take away my hopes and my dreams. But what if Jesus doesn't want you to dream for less? What if he wants you to dream for more? And what if he has bigger dreams for you than you do? What if he never tries to hold you back? He's actually trying to pull you forward toward a more fulfilling and joyful life than you've ever even imagined. He didn't come to steal, kill, or destroy our lives. He came to help us have real life. So think of it this way. You could write this down if you want to write something in your Bible. Because of Jesus, we can have life to the full. Because of Jesus, we can have life to the full. So I think a few of the ways that we do this, I think it's simpler than you think. This, how do I have this life to the full? The first one's this: just say yes to Jesus for the first time for some of you. If you want to have life to the full, we've been talking this for the last few weeks here in our student ministry, that some of you have yet to decide to follow Jesus. Some of you have drug your feet because maybe that's the lie you've been believing, is that if I follow this Jesus, I got to give up everything I want and that's good for me. And maybe the step tonight for you is to say, hey, I'm going to say yes to Jesus for the first time and actually trust that my life would be what I've really been wanting it to be if I would follow Jesus. Maybe for some of you, you need to start saying yes to the things that Jesus says yes to. Maybe you've been following him, but you're not actually saying yes to the things that he says yes to. And as his followers, so much of what Jesus commands us and to do and encourages us to do as he went around talking to people who are going to follow him, they're actually things that benefit us and make our lives better. And there are a million ways you can experience this, but I want to give you one this week that I think ties to some of the things that are coming up in our student ministry. I think a lot of you could serve someone, and right now, I would just say this is maybe a big step for a lot of you in this ministry that are currently not serving anywhere. And I'm not just talking about in our church. I think that is a great step for some of you right now, is to start serving in our church. There are a lot of different ways you could serve in this church. You could be a hero to one of the kids in our kids ministry. My sons are some of those kids that think the world of the high school and middle school students that come and serve in kids ministry. Maybe you're somebody that could come and serve in one of the nonprofits in our area, and you have a passion for feeding hungry people, and it's time for you to actually go serve somebody and feed hungry people. Like, are you waiting on us to drive a van or a bus to take you to serve every time as a youth group? Or are you somebody that's ready to serve somebody by saying, Mom and Dad, this isn't something that I'm waiting on the church to do for me. I want to be Jesus, and I want to go do this myself. Maybe for some of you, it's to go on a mission trip, to volunteer and come serve on a mission trip with us this summer. I have a picture of one of my early mission trips when I was in youth group, and our high school group got to go to Mexico. And I just say this because I didn't know at the time that just signing up and going with a youth group was going to mean this much to me. This changed my life. Serving other people changed my life. At an early age, I thought it was like, going to be boring or my parents were going to make me go. And then when I went there, it actually ended up being something that for the rest of my life, I have absolutely longed for and loved and cherished and actually invested in multiple opportunities through college and all the way through ministry to go and serve people, because it is one of the greatest ways to live a good life in Jesus. And I just wanted to point out that even in high school, you guys, I had these amazing guns. See those bad boys? Yeah, that's why I wore cutoff shirts in high school, because I had these ripped arms. Kidding. You can laugh. It's okay. Some of you are like, I don't get it. Can you not tell that's me in the hat with the really big biceps right there in the front? Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So listen, as we wrap up and get ready to go to groups, I think when you know who Jesus is and you know that he's your good shepherd, it just changes everything. And I want you to hang on to that tonight, that if some of you will start believing that Jesus really is your good shepherd, you can actually have life to the full, because that's who Jesus is. He's the one who gives us the full life that all of us long for. So as you go to your small group and you get to talk a little bit about another way that you could look at Jesus tonight, I hope you will start to look at Jesus and see that he actually wants you to have the things that you want in life. But maybe consider this, maybe Jesus actually knows what you need in life or what you want in life better than even you do. And so maybe he's calling you to give something up tonight, or maybe he's calling you to pick something up. But whatever it is, he wants to give you a full and satisfying life. So Jesus, I pray for our students as they go to groups tonight that they would be able to see a glimpse of you as a good shepherd. That as they talk with their friends and they sit there, they would even look around and just see that as your sheep, what a blessing that we're not alone. That even in that small circle of friends that we sit amongst tonight, it just reminds us that you want us to have good friends. You want us to have a satisfying and full life. And so as we talk about that, and some of our students in here feel like they don't have that life tonight, I pray that they would start to look to you for that life and not to things of the world, not to things or people that cannot give them that satisfying full life that only you can give us. Help us to see that and find that in you and you alone. I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.